Do you have a Washington quarter in your collection? Hold on tight because these ultra-rare quarters could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. From errors to low mintage years, some of these coins are true treasures. Keep watching to discover which ones you might be sitting on. The 1967 Washington quarter dollar, the mystery behind the coin. At first glance, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar might appear like just another run-of-the-mill coin from the era. It features the iconic image of George Washington, the first U.S. president, on the obverse, with the eagle, olive branch, and arrows on the reverse, symbolizing strength and peace. But here's where things get interesting. The 1967 quarter wasn't supposed to be special. However, some versions of this quarter have become incredibly rare, sought after by collectors, and even auctioned off for mind-boggling amounts of money. A rare phenomenon, the 1967 quarter dollar with no mint mark. Let's kick things off with the big one, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark. Normally, quarters minted in 1967 have a mint mark indicating whether they were produced at the Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S, mints. But a small number of these quarters from the Philadelphia mint were struck without a mint mark, making them incredibly rare. In fact, this rare variety has sent collectors and numismatists into a frenzy. Coins like this are often known as errors, a mistake during production that, ironically, makes them even more valuable. The rarity of this error creates intense competition among collectors. As time passes, fewer and fewer of these unique pieces exist, pushing their value higher and higher. Why are these quarters so valuable? Now, you might be wondering, why is this coin worth so much? Well, here's where things get interesting. As the years have gone by, the demand for these coins has skyrocketed. Coin collectors, investors, and history enthusiasts all want a piece of this rare treasure. So what can you expect to pay, or even earn, if you come across one of these rare 1967 Washington quarters? In pristine or uncirculated condition, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark can fetch anywhere between $500 to $5,000, and sometimes even more, depending on its rarity and condition. That's right. A coin worth 25 cents could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Imagine holding that in your hands and thinking about its value. The top dollar coins, how rare coins can earn you thousands. If the coin has an additional error, such as being double-struck or showing a misalignment, it could skyrocket in value. These errors are what truly set some 1967 Washington quarters apart from the rest. The more unique and well-preserved the coin is, the more valuable it becomes. Auction sales that shocked the world. Some 1967 Washington quarters with no mint mark have even sold at auctions for more than $10,000. Yes, you read that correctly, a 25-cent coin worth $10,000. What makes these prices so exciting is that the rarer the coin, the more money it can pull in at auction, sometimes even climbing into the tens of thousands. So, whether you've just inherited a collection of old coins or are stumbling upon one of these rare gems in your pocket change, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar is a coin you need to pay attention to. As we've seen, these rare versions aren't just collectible, they're valuable treasures waiting to be uncovered. The 1977 Washington quarter dollar, a coin with potential. The 1977 Washington quarter might not seem special at first. It features George Washington's classic portrait on the obverse and the majestic eagle on the reverse, just like any other quarter. But here's the exciting twist, the 1977 quarter isn't just another coin circulating in your pocket change. Some extremely rare versions of this coin could be worth much, much more. We're talking about a coin worth hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, you heard that right. What makes the 1977 Washington quarter so valuable? The key to the 1977 Washington quarter's value lies in its rarity and condition. While most 1977 quarters were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, there are certain error varieties that make certain quarters from this year worth a small fortune. One of the most highly coveted versions is the 1977 Washington quarter with an error, such as a double die, a misaligned strike, or other production anomalies. These errors, which may seem like imperfections, are actually what make these coins so precious. Due to these striking imperfections, these quarters are often worth far more than their face value, sometimes reaching thousands of dollars. The importance of mint errors. Let's break it down. What exactly are these mint errors, and why do they matter? Minting errors can occur in various forms, such as double die errors. This happens when the coin is struck twice, leaving behind a visible doubling effect on the design, often seen on the lettering and the date. Misaligned strikes. If the die that strikes the coin isn't perfectly aligned, it can result in a coin with an off-center design. Repunched mint marks. Some 1977 quarters were struck with mint marks that were incorrectly punched multiple times, leaving behind a unique variation that collectors crave. These types of minting mistakes are not common, and their rarity is what makes these coins so desirable. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins like these, pushing their value into the hundreds or thousands. Why is this coin worth so much? If you manage to find a 1977 Washington quarter with one of these error varieties, your quarter could be worth far more than you ever imagined. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition can skyrocket in value, with some rare examples reaching $1,000 to $5,000 or even higher. But the real excitement happens when these quarters are auctioned off. In rare cases, depending on the specific error and its rarity, they can fetch up to $10,000 or even more. Real auction sales and big surprises. To give you an idea of how much these coins are truly worth, there have been several auctions where 1977 Washington quarters with significant errors have sold for amounts well into the thousands of dollars. The more unique the error, and the better the condition, the higher the price tag. It's not uncommon for rare examples to sell for $5,000, $8,000, and even as high as $15,000 at well-known coin auctions. The hunt is on. Could you have one? Here's the best part. You might already have a rare 1977 Washington quarter sitting in your collection or pocket change. As with many rare coins, the most valuable ones often slip under the radar. That's why it's essential to look closely at your 1977 quarters for any unusual signs of minting errors. If you spot any, you could be looking at an extremely valuable coin. Washington quarter dollar, a coin with hidden value. Let's start by setting the stage. The 1966 Washington quarter dollar may look like any other quarter from the 1960s at first glance, but it holds a secret that could make it worth far more than its face value of just 25 cents. Like most quarters from this time, it features George Washington's portrait on the front and an eagle on the back. But here's the twist. Despite its common appearance, some very rare 1966 quarters are worth much more than you might expect. What makes the 1966 quarter so special? So, what makes the 1966 Washington quarter dollar so valuable? The truth is, it all comes down to a few rare, little-known factors that can make these quarters extremely valuable, particularly if you find one with a special error or in pristine condition. One key feature that stands out for collectors is the minting error. Some 1966 quarters were struck with misalignments, double strikes, or other manufacturing errors that make them rare and incredibly valuable. One of the most coveted is the 1966 quarter with no mint mark. Normally, quarters from that era would have a mint mark indicating where they were made: Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. However, a small number of 1,966 quarters were produced at the Philadelphia Mint but lack a mint mark, making them a highly sought-after error coin. Why are these coins worth so much? Now, you might be wondering, why is a 1966 quarter with no mint mark worth so much? Here's where things get exciting. Due to its rarity and high demand, these error coins are valued at a much higher price than most other quarters. Condition matters too. If you find one in mint condition, like a coin that hasn't been worn down by circulation over the years, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars. In fact, A high-quality 1966 Washington quarter with no mint mark can be worth anywhere from $200 to $4,000 or more depending on its condition, rarity, and whether there are additional errors such as double strikes or unusual die markings. Some of these rare coins have sold for $10,000 or higher at auctions, making them extremely valuable to collectors looking for unique pieces to add to their collections. The importance of condition and errors. The condition of the coin plays a significant role in determining its value. A quarter in uncirculated, MS-60 to MS-70, condition will fetch a higher price than one that's been heavily circulated. Additionally, certain varieties of the 1966 quarter, such as those with striking errors like doubling or off-center strikes, can push the price even higher. These error coins have become some of the most prized possessions in the numismatic world, and auctions have witnessed fierce bidding wars for rare examples. Real auction sales and shocking prices. The excitement doesn't stop there. Rare 1966 quarters with no mint mark and other notable errors have been sold for up to $12,000 in some instances. The scarcity of these coins, combined with the growing demand from collectors, has created a market where these coins are becoming more and more valuable by the year.